I'm Dan Panetti, Worldview Director here at Prestonwood Christian Academy. And some people are out there probably going to ask us a question, that is, why in the world are we having this debate in the first place?
Well, atheism is one of the fastest growing segments in America, and the fact is we have to be able to engage with those people and know their sides and know their points of view as well.
One of the reasons that we have debates like this is to actually provide training for our students. And Caleb and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. Caleb's dad is actually our football coach as well. And we were just talking about the importance of actually practicing before the big game. And Caleb's a senior and he's going to be at college next year. And we were talking about the importance of actually having those practices before he goes out into the world so that we have those practices here on our campus. And so Caleb, tell us a little bit about how important it is to practice and listen to the other worldviews before you actually go out into the society and engage them.
Well, I mean, it is a lot like football. And for any of you students out there that do play football or have played football, you don't go into a game blind. You have to, first of all, you've got to watch film. You've got to be educated on what the other team or the opposing view would do, and just their schemes and the way they do things. And obviously, you practice throughout the week before a game, and that's much like this debate. You know, we're getting practice and just different schemes of our own to be able to counteract the other teams or the other opposing worldviews.
Scripture tells us that physical training is of some value, but spiritual training has value not only in this life, but in the next. And so this is part of our spiritual training for our students, our staff, and our parents, and we're glad that you've joined us for this debate. Now, we hope that this debate raises a lot of questions and has a lot of conversation around it. So we've actually produced a discussion guide that you can order online and get for your home or your school as well. So please do that. We hope that you not only enjoy the debate, but enjoy the conversation that stems from it. We've got our speakers coming up. I've got a couple just things that we want to go over to make sure you understand the format for today and exactly what your role is as an audience. We're expecting to hear from two wonderful individuals, Dr. Dembski and Christopher Hitchens, and we're hoping that we'll get to hear both of their ideas presented fully. And I know that some here may be more favored to one side or the other. And I know that you would love to clap and cheer and applause. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a little golf clap, where it's kind of that nice, polite clap. But this is not the Happy Gilmore golf audience. So we're going to try to refrain from that so that both speakers have an equal opportunity to present their message. Because really, that's why we invited these two individuals in. They're the two of the premier spokespersons on does God exist and is there a good God? And so we want to make sure that we have your full attention and we give your full attention to them. And so at the end of the debate, at the very end, when they give their closing remarks, we'll make sure that they feel welcome and they know that we appreciate them so much for giving up their time and their talents to come here and spend time with us. But during the debate, if you would with me, just refrain from having too much applause or any outburst, and that would be great. What we're going to do is we're going to start out with opening statements from each, with Mr. Hitchens starting. They'll have each 15 minutes to give an opening statement, which actually is a little bit shorter than what they're used to, but because we're a little bit younger audience than what they're used to. I was just talking to Mr. Hitchens before, and he said, this is a little younger audience than what I'm used to being in front of. He's used to being in front of colleges and adults. And I said, well, we're going all the way down to 7th grade, and so we wanted to make it a little bit short. And I've got ADD as well, so I want to make sure that we kind of keep these things nice and short so I can pay attention as we go. But we'll have 15-minute opening statements, we'll have 10-minute rebuttals, and then we'll have 5-minute rebuttal to the rebuttals. We'll have 30 minutes for question and answers, and I need to make sure we understand exactly what we're going to do for this. For the question and answers, there's actually going to be cards in your aisle, okay, little note cards. And I want you to be thinking during the first opening statements if there's any questions that you'd like to ask either Dr. Dembski or Mr. Hitchens. Okay? After they're done with their opening statements, we're going to pause for a second and we're going to start collecting those cards. And we're going to have some of our staff go through those cards and try to find some great questions, some questions that maybe there's a common theme, so we want to make sure that we ask this because there's a lot of people asking that question, or this is a really great question, we want to make sure we get that up. We'll have 30 minutes for Q&A, and what will happen is those cards will come up to me here at the front table, and I'll have an opportunity to just go through the cards and ask our speakers those questions. And after the 30 minutes of questions, which isn't going to be a lot of time for question and answer, but it'll be good, but after that, then they'll have 5 minutes apiece to finish up and give us their closing statements. When that's all said and done, right, it'll seem like the time will go tremendously fast. But when all that's said and done, that'll be about an hour and 45 minutes. And that'll be enough time, I think, to get out both of these particular views, both of these particular statements. And I think at the end of that, you'll walk away with some stuff to think about, some stuff to be challenged with, and some questions that you might have. And we hope that you take those questions and you search for the answer and you search for the truth. And that would be our great hope, is that you leave here saying, you know what, I need to go find the truth. What somebody said about a particular statement, I want to go see if that's true or not. The debate doesn't end here. This is where it starts. So go home. Prestonwood is a great church home. If you don't have one and you want to find a place that searches for the truth with you, using Scripture as our guide, this is a great place to come, and we'd invite you to join us here on the next Sunday that we have. And you're more than welcome to be here if you're not a member already. I want to set up the stage a little bit and let you just know who our two speakers are, who our debaters are. And we'll get them up here, and then you can have an opportunity to hear from them in their opening statements. A lot of you probably know Christopher Hitchens. He is one of the, probably the most widely known, this is controversial writers and critics in the media. He's just a tremendous writer. He's a great wordsmith. He is fabulous with the pen and is a wonderful presenter with his voice as well. He's probably best known for his work here in Vanity Fair, as well as the Atlantic Monthly. He's a foreign correspondent and has written for more than 60 different countries. He's the only writer to have written since 2000 from Iran, Iraq, and North Korea. He's the author of many books. One of them, God Is Not Great, How Religion Destroys Everything or Poisons Everything, is probably one of his most popular ones, and he's recently released his memoirs, Hitch-22. He was born in England. He's educated at both Cambridge and Oxford, holds honors degrees in philosophy, politics, and economics. He moved to the United States in 1981 and has worked as a book reviewer, a writer, a commentator, a critic, and a social intellect for many publications. When he comes up here, please give Christopher Hitchens a warm welcome. To debate Christopher Hitchens, we brought in Dr. Bill Dembski. He was a research professor in philosophy at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary right here in Fort Worth, Texas. He directs its Center for Cultural Engagement. He's a senior fellow with the Discovery Institute, their Institute for Science, for Center for Science and Culture in Seattle, and a senior research scientist with the Evolutionary Informatics Lab. He has doctorates in both mathematics and philosophy and has published articles in mathematics, engineering, philosophy, and theology, as well as authored and edited over 20 different books. In his book, The Design Inference, Eliminating Chance Through Small Possibilities, it was the first book on intelligent design published by a major university press, and he examined the design argument in a post-Darwinian context. In 2009, he published a book on God's goodness titled The End of Christianity, Finding a Good God in an Evil World. He lectures widely on intelligent design and has appeared on numerous radio and television programs, including ABC's Nightline and Jon Stewart's The Daily Show. Now, before we bring him up, one other quick thing. I know we have media here. Obviously, we have our cameras running. One of the requests that we'll make to you is that we have no flash photography and that you don't actually videotape this yourself for your own personal use. We're being webcast live. If you need to see this after, it's actually going to be archived on our website at pcawebcast.com, and you can go and you can watch that at a later date. But for those of you who want to take flash photography, we'd ask you to refrain from that. There'll be plenty of pictures that are taken by the media, and you can see those later. So let's welcome our two guests, Christopher Hitchens and Dr. Bill Dembski.
Thank you for an extremely handsome, generous introduction, during which I began to feel like, as I surveyed the audience also, and having been listening to your music, a bit like a Daniel being introduced to a den of, I'm sure, very charming lion cubs. A different experience from my common one. Let's get straight to it because time presses. There are, I suppose, three forms of the divine, and if you eliminate polytheism, which I think we may as well all do for today's purposes, there are two ways of approaching it. One is the deistic, and one is the theistic. I hope I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but if you don't know it, it's useful, and it's a very important opening distinction. There are those, there have been those, among them were many of the founders of our great republic, in particular Mr. Thomas Jefferson, who were not Christians, but who were deists. They believed that the evidence of the universe and of nature showed a designer, seemed to imply it by its patterns and repetitions. A very, very common usage in those days was that of the watch, which later turns up in Mr. Paley's Natural Theology, which for many, many years was the central Christian text in the argument for design. He says very simply, if you're an Aborigine and you're walking along a beach and you find a pocket watch ticking away, you don't know what it's for. You have no education that would enable you to judge its purpose, but you can tell it's not a rock, and you can tell it's not a vegetable, and you can tell it's been made by someone for some purpose. That much you must know, even if you know nothing else. The metaphor of the watch was very much used by the deists. And of course, watches run down and break down. And it was believed by many of them that if an intelligence had begun the universe, begun the process, he took no further interest in it. Didn't intervene in human affairs, didn't mind who won the war, didn't mind which country was the leading one, watched with relative, well, or didn't watch with indifference. Plague, famine, war, and so forth. That's a very hard position to oppose, by the way. It's very difficult, it's impossible actually to disprove. One can only say the evidence for it isn't quite strong enough to be persuasive. To be a theist, in other words, to occupy the position that many people here currently do, and my opponent does, to be a member of a monotheistic religion that believes that truth has been revealed, that God has intervened in human affairs, that he has a plan for us, each of us individually as well as a species, and that it shows, is a very, very much more difficult undertaking. I'm going to show why I think it's more or less impossible. There are usually three ways in which people try and demonstrate it. One is looking at the cosmos, the vault of heaven, the world beyond what we can quite see or apprehend. The second is human history and its development, and the third is ourselves, our own bodies, our makeup. Again, I'll have to condense, I hope you'll forgive me, but I'll sketch in what I think the objections are. Unless you don't believe, I don't know what they've been teaching you, unless you do not believe in the theory of what is conventionally called now the Big Bang, that our universe is billions of years old and began with a gigantic explosion, which is still going on, you are forced to be very, very, very modest about what it is you can know about anything. What preoccupies most scientists now is not how much they know compared to 50 years ago, though that is enormous, there's a difference, but how little they know compared to what they're finding out. All these conclusions are very tentative, but minimally they must involve this. For a few milliseconds, really, of cosmic time, our species has lived on one very, very small rock in a very small solar system that's a part of a fantastically unimportant suburb in one of an uncountable number of galaxies. And that every second since the Big Bang, every single second, a star the size of our sun has blown up, gone to nothing, swelled up, shrunk into what's called a dwarf and disappeared. And that the matter of which we are made, cheer up by the way, you are all made of stardust, which is a good way of thinking about yourself, but that's the price of that stardust. And every second I've been speaking, another of those suns has gone out. And indeed, physicists now exist who can tell you the date, more or less the exact one, on which our sun will follow suit. So the old Christian revivalists who used to stand on the street corner with signs saying, "Repent, the end of the world is at hand," were in their way right.